Morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. How are you today, Lesley?
I'm getting ready for a hurricane, literally. How are you doing, Nancy?
Oh, we're going to get some rain and stuff, but we're not going to get the hurricane. Are you getting hit directly or side?
We might get some tonight. But you know what? That is life, and business still goes on and life goes on. And before work this morning, I was pulling chairs off my patio, and we'll keep on
Oh,
trucking.
I know. It's crazy. Just trying to juggle life and work, your own business is really challenging. And the reason why I love coaching is because, like you, I'm doing it and I've done it all stages. I've been an entrepreneur for, oh my God, like 25 years now, which I can't even believe. So it's amazing how you learn these little tips and tricks on how to survive the ups and downs, right? And this is part of it, which is why I wanted to come live today about being decisive as a leader is key to your success. I can't believe this topic is triggered for many reasons. One, I see so many people make a commitment to something and then bail on it, or think they're making a commitment and then like they're just like changing their minds and they're not sure and they're always afraid to make decisions.
Yeah.
And being a good decision maker and sticking to your word and following through on things that you decide to do is important because it exercises that muscle of stick to itiveness, so to speak, right? Have you seen this with a lot of people?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many times where as a business owner, there's just it's hard. We all know this, and there's times where it's so easy to want to quit or to back off. And if you can just stick with those decisions you've made, commit and see those hard parts through, the results can be amazing. But
Yes.
it is hard. And, when you've made a decision and things aren't going as well as you expected, it's like, okay, did I make the wrong decision? Do I cut bait, as it were? Do I keep pushing through and trust in my decision making skills? And
Yeah.
this is something that being decisive is absolutely a learned skill, and it takes practice, and it takes some real chutzpah to
It
see things
does.
through sometimes because it's
It does.
hard.
It takes confidence. It takes having a great support system, someone you trust to give you advice at times, right? So it's a lot. But life is too short to continue to second guess yourself all the
Yeah.
time. I'll give a really simple example. What interior design software should I use to manage my projects? This is one of the biggest questions we get in our coaching world, right? In
Mhm.
my coaching world, your coaching world with me, it's okay, everyone, you've trialed three or four of them. Make a decision, right? So, number one, this is not a life or death decision. This is a software program that you want to try for your business. And yes, conversions suck and you don't want to keep changing
Mhm.
systems constantly. So, you want to make a well thought out, deliberate decision, as you would say. So, talk a little bit about how deliberate decisions.
Well, I love that because I think people often think with decision making, what is the right decision? What is the perfect decision? There is never a perfect choice. There is never sometimes there's right and wrong. I mean, that's clear. But
Yes.
the software is a great example. Does each software have different things that are good and work for you? Yes. Do some have drawbacks that might not make sense for your business? Yes. There's not a perfect answer. And I think getting caught up in this idea that this is the most important decision and it has to be perfect. And if it can't be perfect, I'm not going to do it. It's not life or death. Like, you need to take that 1,000-foot view, and a coach can really help with that to pull you out of those decision making weeds and say, hey, let's look at your
So
business as a
true.
whole. Let's look at your life as a whole. How does this decision making software impact things? Will this one be good for now and you can reevaluate it in a year? Great. That's a good decision. Let's move forward. But not making decisions will absolutely paralyze your business.
Right, because being decisive as a leader is what's going to help you get successful quicker, right? So
Yeah.
I've in our business helpline, we are always getting questions about decisions our clients are trying to make, and they just want to bounce them off of us. And what happens over time is that I don't get those questions anymore because I'm reinforcing that they're actually good decision makers and trust yourself. You
Yeah.
are a good decision maker. And if you're not, I'm helping you talk it through now. So I'm teaching you how to be, and you're teaching them how to be good decision makers for their business and for their personal life, right? Because I'm a
Yes.
life and business coach, and we are coaching people on both their personal life and their business life most of the time because it's intertwined.
Yeah. I
So,
agree.
right. So talk about I loved what you said, the Latin. word for
So
decision?
this is what I've Googled this to check because I've heard this on, random teachings over the years, and I've always thought it was interesting. Apparently the root word of the word decision literally means to cut off. So making a decision is about cutting off choices, cutting off other courses of action, and choosing this is what we're going to do. And that's really powerful when you think about it that way.
It is. And that's where you also read that the most successful people in the world say no more than they say yes,
Mhm.
right? So that is a decision they are making, not to go to certain events, to not have certain people in their lives, to not worry about what other people think or what other people in their industry are doing, and focusing on themselves, right? I want to talk about another thing now, though. So it's not a life or death situation most of the time. So make a decision and realize that it's not going to kill you if it's wrong.
Yeah.
But also, don't over dramatize. Don't over dramatize. I see this all the time. Oh my God, I'm just not sure what to do. And I've been dwelling on it for 6 months. And I'm like, you're dwelling on it for 6 months. Like, think about how much energy your brain has put to that decision. Where
Mhm.
literally, if you made that decision 6 months ago and it was a bad decision or wrong decision or slightly not perfect, you could have been through that decision already and changing your direction already. But instead, you're going to sit in that drama of, oh my God, I want to make sure I'm doing this right and I can't pull the trigger until, and that is wasting life. And we don't have that much time on this earth.
Nope. And you make a really good point there that I think we have a false expectation as business owners that there will be an arrival point. Like we will have all the decisions made and it's all figured out and we're good and nothing will change. I'm changing things daily.
Me too.
Policies, procedures, workflows, templates. I mean, this is always evolving. So there isn't a perfect right decision because this is what's right for right now. Hi. And this is what's going to get us through the next phase. And then as things change and flow and you grow and your team grows and your work evolves, then you make different decisions. Like it's always an ongoing thing. There isn't a perfect decision that's going to get you to a perfect point where everything is all neat and tidy and you're good to go.
Right, because you think that decision is going to be the outcome where I stick. But
Yes.
that's never the case because as we are business owners and growing in our personal lives as well, there's always going to be pivots that you make.
Mhm.
And right, we start out with a certain email system, then you outgrow it possibly, or
Yes.
you find out they made a change that you don't like. So you can't predict that. So I want everyone to check the story they tell themselves about how important this cat is hysterical. She's adorable.
She's very sweet. She's only about 4 months old, and
Oh,
she's a little lover.
she's
Sorry for the
so
distraction. The
she is
choice I made to have the cat in the room with me. Here you go. Might not
oh
have been
my
the best
God,
one.
that is so cute. So, all right, so check your storytelling in your head. Like, if I make this decision and it's wrong, this is gonna happen.
Mhm.
Is it really gonna happen that way? Like, people really do tell themselves a story that if I make the wrong decision, it's gonna totally screw me up. It's gonna back me up by a year. It's going to lose me money. It's whatever. Like, stop, take a deep breath. And I always go back to pen and paper.
Yeah.
Pros and cons. Do the pros outweigh the cons? If you're comparing two things, do it for both. Then go with your gut, your instinct. Don't try to ignore your instinct because of what other people are saying or weighing in on the, like I see this in this group all the time. Right now we're in the interior design business forum. Also for those of you who are watching us outside of that on LinkedIn or YouTube. But you ask people their opinion and then you get flooded with people's opinions and now your instinct is all confused. What your
Yes.
gut told you in the beginning, you questioned, so you got everyone else's opinion, and now you're really confused and you're stuck in indecision.
When you see and you still have that feeling of like, "But I thought this one." It's like you have to listen to that. It's gonna be the tiniest, smallest voice, but it's going to be in there. Just
Yes,
like it doesn't matter that everyone else says to go with X software. You really liked Y, and just because the general consensus didn't agree does not make it a bad decision.
for you, right?
Mhm.
Right. And again, like you've changed softwares multiple times. You've changed price. No, I love working with
Yeah.
you because you've changed pricing
Change
models.
everything constantly.
Right. You change and then you go, I don't like this. I like this. And it's important because the next point I want to make is that some decisions are going to be bad and some decisions are going to be poor and not go the way you like. Like if you change your pricing model and you don't get that job and you go, maybe I shouldn't have changed it, I'll go back. Like, but that's okay. How much do you learn every time? I know I learn every time I make a bad decision.
100%. And that's a wonderful way to frame it too, is it wasn't a failure. You didn't screw up. Your business is not beyond repair. You learned something really valuable. Maybe if you've raised your prices and you're not getting people reaching out to you, it's not that your prices aren't good. It's that your positioning, your marketing doesn't align. Like there's one decision does not mean everything is in the toilet.
Correct. And one decision is not everyone's business either. So I'm thinking of this one example, right? So with the key, which is coming out, our new ultimate pricing model for our pricing tool for interior designers, we have people who are using it. Our clients are currently using it, and it's amazing. And one of them said to me, I raised my price, but now that I'm using the key and actually appropriately allocating the right amount of hours, my estimates are coming in so high that I'm wondering if I should adjust it. And we had that conversation because in the past, she was charging a higher hourly rate because she was losing money because she wasn't charging enough hours. Right. So we had that discussion about how it would make her feel, what adjustments we should make, and the fear that previous clients who are on a higher rate and now new clients will be on a lower rate, as if everyone in the world is talking to each other, and they're not. And we were able to go back and forth on making a good decision for her for now, and saying, let's test it and see what happens.
I love that approach. Looking at these changes, these decisions as experiments. This isn't permanent. This isn't forever. I do this with my kids. Like, let's test this out for a week and see how we like it. And then it takes all that pressure off of this is so final. It's like, no, we're trying this. We're going to see if it works. And if it doesn't, we can course correct.
Absolutely. I even did this with my daughter who was considering moving. And I'm like, okay, like moving out of state. And I'm like, what's the worst thing that could happen? 1 year from now, if you don't like it, you move back. Like if you don't like the pricing model you chose, you can change it. If you don't like the accountant you have, you can change it. If you don't like, right? You can change anything you want at any time without it being a big dramatic change. You can just make it. And that kind of takes me to my last point here is trust your own skill and your experience to tell you you'll get through to the other side. And that's where I always say to people like, okay, let's say this ends up being a bad decision. Can you remember a time in your life that you made a bad decision? It was a moment in time. You switched gears. You had the support system, or you knew where to go or how to get yourself out of it. You have an alter ego that's tough as nails, right? Right. So I talk about this a lot in my groups where there was a moment where I was seeing Tony Robbins on stage and he took this woman out of the audience and he said, what's going on with your business? And she was all like, whoa, like really, it's terrible. I'm losing money. I don't know what to do. I'm lost in my life. And she had a whole personal life story. And he said, tell me about a time in your life where you really like rocked it or defended yourself and really did great. And she tells the story and he's like, now who was that person? Right. Her name was Jill, this other person's name. And she's thinking, I don't know. Who's the person who fought like hell to get to the other side of a difficult situation and made it? So she gave this other alter ego a name and you could see her whole posture changed. And I just want to remind everybody that if you make a decision that is not perfect and you feel is slightly off, it's fixable, it's modifiable. And that alter ego, that strong part of you that comes out when it has to, even if it was the worst decision in the world, you're going to be able to fix it when you trust yourself. So trusting yourself and having the confidence that you can get to the other side of a bad decision is key, because being decisive as a leader of your own life is the key to success, period. Right? Do you have an alter ego?
I've never thought of it like that, but I was, as you were talking, I was like, what would mine be named?
Okay, so the rest of the story is my son was with me at this presentation. So we get back to the hotel room and I'm sitting there, I don't know, do I have an alter ego? You start to go, because they gave the example like Beyonce is scared to death to get up on stage. So she has an alter ego, Sasha Fierce. She taps into Sasha Fierce in her brain to have the guts to get on stage, right? And nobody would know that about her. And it actually there's actually a few really big artists who suffer from anxiety that have these alter egos to get them through. So I'm in the hotel room and I said to my son, I don't know. I mean, I know I've gotten through some really tough times in the past, but I've defended myself but I don't know what I would call myself. And he goes, I know what I would call you. And I'm like, what? And I was afraid to hear the answer. And he said, Mom. And I was like,
Aw,
you know what? Yeah, and that's the way I feel about my clients. I'm like their mother in
mama
business.
bear.
Yeah. Mama bear is my fierce, don't mess with me. And if I make a bad decision in my life, you know what? I'm going to learn from it. And I know I can switch gears and tap into that mama bear for myself and go back to righting my wrong, even if it takes me time. Right. So your business is a breathing and moving entity all the time.
Yeah.
So give yourself permission to be a decisive leader because it is the key to your success. And be okay to make mistakes and realize that everybody does, and it's okay. You're going to come out a better person afterwards.
Boom.
So
You
you
said it
might be
perfect.
Mama Bear too.
That it did get me thinking. I was like, I would have no problem stepping up and like if I had to, defend my kid, something was going on, like there'd be some fierceness coming out there. I think
Yes,
that's a great
yeah.
way to look at it.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of stories, a handful when I've had to defend my children or come to their aid and defend myself and come to my own aid, right? Because there's not always nice people in this world, but you can do it. And that's what I want to make sure everybody knows, you can do it. And if you are struggling being a decisive leader, a lot of what I teach is mindset, even though I also teach it with you, the nuts and bolts of running an incredibly profitable interior design business. Mindset is, hate to say, it's kind of like at least 80% of it.
Absolutely.
It's 80% of it. All the other things you can be taught. Being a good leader and being decisive is something you can be taught too, but sometimes it's undoing some of your life from early on in order to give you the confidence to do it. So, all right, everyone, go have a great day and make a decision today that you've been holding off on. And if you need help, jump into the Business Building Boutique. I gave a link, which is where all my free content sits. And there's a lot of blogs and YouTube videos and content about mindset and being a good leader. So hopefully people who are struggling with making decisions will jump in there.
Yep. And making one decision will help empower you to make those other ones that may be lagging. So just start with one, make a choice, and move forward.
Perfect ending. All right, everyone. We will see you next week for Thursday Thoughts. And I know everyone's chomping at the bit to get their hands on the key, the ultimate pricing tool for interior designers. And we're meeting today with my team to find out when we can release that to all of you because we're really excited about it. Lesley just used it and closed her biggest design fee ever.
I did. I'm so excited about it. It's game changing. It's a good decision.
Yes, that'll be a good decision. We'll push you on that when it comes time. So, all right, everyone, I will see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Lesley.